Good morning. I'm really delighted to be back in Istanbul to participate in this revival of the Atlantic Council's Regional Energy Forum. But I'm even more pleased that my very first trip abroad as the new Assistant Secretary of State for Energy Resources includes Turkey, a country that has played such a clear and prominent role in our collective response to Putin's unprovoked war of aggression in Ukraine, a war that has caused such suffering among the people of Ukraine, as well as disruption to global energy markets, global food supplies, and commodities. I also want to acknowledge the presence of Minister Bayraktar and also my friend and colleague, Ambassador Flake. It's great to see you, Jeff. We were last together in Delphi. It's hard to imagine a more sublime combination than Istanbul and Delphi, so good luck to both of us. I last spoke at this forum in 2017, when my panel discussion focused on the challenges of energy diversification and the question of whether or not the Southern Gas Corridor would ever be completed. Times have sure changed. But one thing that was true then and is true now is that the United States will always be there to support our allies and partners to improve our collective energy security, especially at a time of disruption and suffering among our citizens. Even beyond Ukraine, Putin's war of choice has caused a major shift in Europe's and the region's approach to energy security. It has upended the world's energy map. I know that I speak for everyone in this room in expressing the horror that I felt at the images we woke up to yesterday of missiles raining down on Kyiv, Lviv, Kharkiv, and Zaporizhia. But Russia, I believe, has proven for all time that it will not be a reliable supplier of energy, so long as it continues to weaponize its energy resources as an instrument of war. Putin's war and the disruption it has unleashed has made clear the dangers of over-reliance on a single supplier, particularly one that is willing to use its energy as a tool of coercion. But this war has also incentivized us all, and in Europe in particular, to accelerate our investments in energy transition and the renewable technologies that are the surest source of energy security. Our shared challenges are three. First, to identify reliable volumes of non-Russian sources of natural gas for European markets. Second, to reduce overall demand for natural gas through efficiency measures. And three, at the same time, to accelerate our work on the clean energy transition. None of these are contradictory, in my view. There is more urgency than ever to pursue these goals, as energy prices have skyrocketed in Europe and globally. Wholesale natural gas prices in Europe are up more than 10 times their average from the first half of 2021. Global coal prices are around twice what they were 1 year ago, and global oil prices are up by a third. These rapid, substantial increases underscore the urgency of diversifying sources and routes, of accelerating clean energy projects, which have low operational costs, and the importance of investing in technologies that can help to improve efficiency in industry and transport. We are working with our allies and partners to address all three of these goals, and most urgently, to increase and diversify LNG supplies to Europe. Of note, since February, 70% of U.S. LNG exports have landed in Europe, and the U.S. this year is on track to become the world's largest LNG exporter, reflecting both the United States energy resource endowment and the ingenuity and flexibility of our industry. But even here, climate concerns remain central. We're working with industry to reduce greenhouse gas intensity of natural gas infrastructure across the entire value chain and to sustain progress toward our shared climate goals. We recognize the important role that our allies and partners play in these efforts. With Turkey, We have cooperated to advance near, medium, and long-term projects that diversify energy supplies to Europe. The Western Balkans, for instance, are looking at a particularly difficult winter ahead. We are working with countries in the region to support each other and advance our collective energy security. Having visited the TAP pipeline under construction in 1998, I was particularly pleased to be in Greece in December of 2020 when the pipeline came online, diversifying and increasing supplies of natural gas from Azerbaijan to Turkey and Europe. And as Russia has throttled back on gas supplies this year, the Southern Gas Corridor has played a critical role in helping Europe, and Italy, Greece, and Bulgaria in particular, to weather the storm. In Sofia, later this week, I'll be able to celebrate the official launch a few days ago of the interconnector Greece-Bulgaria, which will carry more gas from Azerbaijan to southeastern Europe and help Bulgaria in particular to escape its dependence on Russia. And North Macedonia, we hope, will not be far behind. Like the Southern Gas Corridor, the IGB project was the culmination of years of technical, commercial, political, and diplomatic effort. President von der Leyen rightly called it a game changer for European energy security. We look forward to the completion of the next phase of projects to bring gas to the Western Balkans, including, importantly, the Alexandropoli FSRU. We also greatly appreciate what Turkey has done using its own new regasification facilities to support delivery of LNG to its neighbors. Much of this gas infrastructure is linked to the region's accelerated phase-out of coal-based power and thereby advances our climate goals as well. As we are advancing these important gas projects, we also seek to strengthen our partnership on the deployment of renewable energy and electricity interconnectors that will allow clean energy to be generated across and shared among countries. Over the course of this decisive decade, all of us will need to accelerate dramatically the adoption of renewables, new storage infrastructure, electric vehicles, decarbonize hard-to-abate sectors, and so much more to advance the clean energy transition. It won't be easy, but if we don't push ahead today, the consequences for tomorrow will be dire. I know that everybody here in Turkey understands the reality of the climate crisis. I will always remember visiting the Greek island of Rhodes in August of 2021 and the bright orange skies as both Greece and Turkey were fighting a catastrophic wave of wildfires fueled by climate change and extreme drought. The Biden administration is clear in its view that over time, true energy security will only be achieved through a clean energy transition that moves all of our countries away from unabated fossil fuels. We are working towards a future energy system that utilizes locally available resources like hydro, solar, wind, and geothermal, while leveraging regional interconnections for stability and financial sustainability. We're also supporting commercialization of technologies vital to making our goals a reality, from CCUS and other abatement technologies to deploying at scale zero carbon energy technologies, such as small modular nuclear reactors, advanced battery storage, and clean hydrogen. At home, President Biden has secured congressional support for about $370 billion in new domestic climate and energy transition investment through the Inflation Reduction Act. And we support our allies and partners in achieving these same goals. This includes supporting innovation in nuclear energy, which has the potential to significantly reduce greenhouse gas emissions. For example, we're committing to funding for a FEED study to provide the basis for the deployment of a small modular reactor in Romania. We need to be realistic that nuclear projects can take many years to come online. However, I want to be very clear that the Biden administration strongly supports nuclear power as part of our toolkit to move towards a cleaner and more secure energy mix. As I look at this region, I see that many countries have already prioritized clean energy. A standout example is our host country here in Turkey, which is a real leader in this effort, with over 50% installed renewable capacity and reaching for more. As a large economy and a NATO ally, Turkey fills a critical role in regional efforts to diversify and transition energy supplies, of which TANAP and the Southern Gas Corridor is only the most prominent example. To conclude, we live in an extraordinary time. Today, global energy transition is among the most significant today's global energy transition is among the most significant moments in the history of energy, not unlike previous transitions, from wood to coal, coal to oil, and the adoption of industrialization and global shipping and aviation. Ultimately, we're aiming for a global energy system where clean energy and access are widespread and affordable across all regions and all sectors. We're exploring how we can work with countries to accelerate deployment at scale of these technologies as quickly and as efficiently as possible, in partnership with private sector counterparts. And we are seeking to do so in a way that reinforces our open, rules-based international order. In addition to technologies, we want to improve the efficiencies in power exchange trading across European neighbors. The clean energy transition will also require new supply chains that are resilient, secure, and diversified, so that we are not in a position where, again, a single bad actor can disrupt supplies. We must not fall into a situation where a single supplier can manipulate critical minerals and clean tech supply chains, as Putin has done with fossil fuels. In sum, the United States is committed to tackling the climate crisis, both at home and abroad. It's both a national security concern and an economic security issue. COP27, of course, is coming up next month. I hope we all use this COP to strengthen the global commitment to reduce emissions, especially in the energy sector. As just one example of how we can do this, the United States is urging countries that have not yet done so to commit to the global methane pledge before COP27. But we need to remember, the climate crisis is not just a challenge. It's a once-in-a-generation chance for us to work together to accelerate the deployment of clean and renewable energy solutions and to create opportunity for our citizens. Thank you all for your time. Thank you for your wonderful hospitality. And I look forward to exploring with each of you how we can strengthen our cooperation on all of these issues in a way that creates benefits for us all. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Alparslan Bayraktar, Deputy Minister of Energy and Natural Resources for the Republic of Turkey.
Sayın konuk bakanlar, büyükelçiler,
Dear guest ministers, ambassadors, and representatives of public and private sector, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I appreciate the organization put together by Atlantic Council and EBRD, and it is focusing on one of the most important issues of the energy sector. And I'm happy to be with you on such an important topic in such an important meeting. Climate crisis, COVID-19, and the disruptions on the supply chain and increasing commodity and energy prices, and on top of all that, Russia-Ukraine war, they all created disruptive effect on the world economy. As the supply security is being discussed and as we near the winter, perhaps this is the most important item on the agenda. The policies to fight against climate change could be accelerated in this period, and the supply security and regarding competitiveness, there has been a significant increase in the fossil fuel like coal. Global warming, well, we have the collective aim of limiting it to 1.5 degrees. We have interim targets of 2030, and in 2050 we are aiming at a carbon neutral world. And this year and the next coming years are going to be very important in the fight against climate crisis. In this collective fight, such critical years, well, we don't have the luxury to lose them. The renewable energy efficiency, hydrogen, nuclear, these are alternative resources, and they should be utilized with strong and sustainable policies, and they should be turned into investments so that we don't have to choose between the energy security and climate crisis. From that point, the diversification of the energy sources and transition into clean energy are very important. Distinguished guests, as a developing economy, Turkey is increasing its demand on energy, and we are dependent on imports on that. An average of 5.2% increase, Turkey economy grew in a stable manner in the last 2 decades, and the demand on the gas and energy tripled in this period. At the center stage of our energy policies lies meeting of this energy demand and, of course, decreasing the dependency to external sources and reducing the energy bill. Last year, we have been, as we have been a signatory to Paris Agreement, and as Turkey promised that Turkey would be a carbon neutral economy in 2053, and this made the energy transition into a main item on the agenda. Regarding the decarbonization, our basic policies could be divided into 4 subtitles. Renewable energy is one of them, energy efficiency, nuclear energy, natural gas, and hydrogen. Dispersion of the energy use on the renewable, the diversification of the energy portfolio, and increasing the energy efficiency, and putting the nuclear plans into effect, and discoveries of new gas reserves. We are working tirelessly on all these issues, and as country, the renewable constitutes 54% of our established energy system. Turkey is the 5th in the world and 12th in Europe and 12th in the world regarding this percentage. To decrease the energy dependency on external sources and utilize the renewable resources, Turkey's broad potential should be utilized better, and we support the introduction of renewable energy into the market, and this is a leading item on our energy policy. With the models that we put into effect with R&D and distribution networks, we established a strong solar system, and in the year 2021, we are the first PV panel producer in Europe, and we are 4th in the world. The local production, despite the on the face of the disruptions on supply chain, local production is very important, and very soon we are planning to put the storage systems into effect. In this framework, SMRs and small model reactors and non-conventional nuclear plants, well, they are important tools to reach net zero targets. Distinguished guests, energy efficiency plays a key role in the provision of energy security. And from the demands of the supply side, energy is used in the homes, in transportation, industry, agriculture. Well, in all these areas, we need to use energy in the most possible efficient way. In the last 15 years, we invested $6.5 billion into energy efficiency projects, and 16 million tons of carbon emission has been reduced in Turkey. After 2023, we are preparing an energy efficiency plan. As the Ministry of Energy and Natural Resources, a long-term roadmap is going to be shared with the public very soon. This roadmap is going to be relevant to 2053 net zero targets. It's going to be an important base for that. Distinguished guests, to decrease our dependency on the import and to provide transition from coal to gas in both Mediterranean and Black Sea, we launched an Open Seas Discovery Program in 2016, and 540 billion cubic meters of gas reserve has been discovered in Black Sea, and we are maintaining these efforts. So this gas discovered in Black Sea, as of next year, the gas from that is going to be introduced into the network. And at the plateau level, production is going to be reach the plateau level, and we are going to contribute to the supply security of both Turkey and its region. A lot of countries declared their net zero targets, and with that, natural gas has been ever more important as a transition resource. So in this regard, we increased the capacity of the existing pipeline, and with increased capacity of the natural gas, we improved our gas transport and energy. The gas supply has increased, and regarding flexibility and diversification, this provided important inputs. In nuclear energy, alongside the conventional large reactors, small modular reactors we aim to create collaboration on them as well. From the point of existing technologies, it is going to be very difficult to write a transition success story without nuclear. Distinguished guests, despite all the geopolitical tension and financial difficulties, Turkey has a transparent and competitive market, and we're going to incentivize and promote the private sector. So the market reforms that were put into effect, with this, the investments were made possible. To be a carbon neutral country in energy, with a new campaign on reform and investment, we are entering a new period that requires higher interconnectedness. Starting from international financial institutions like EBRD, with all our shareholders, we're going to work closely. This is what we want. As the whole world, for a sustainable and smart energy transition, we need to be more sensitive, more realistic, and more digitalized energy policies. With that, I'd like to thank Atlantic Council and EBRD that brought us together on that meeting, and I thank you as well for the valuable contribution that you put into this meeting. With love and respect.